Let's combat bodily distress syndrome through mindfulness. Aim: to analyze the effect of mindfulness on bodily distress syndrome, BDS. Hypothesis: yoga and meditation may influence the ill effects of BDS. Background: bodily distress syndrome, BDS, or bodily stress is an empirically defined definition unifying various conditions such as fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, and somatization disorder. Mindfulness-based stress reduction, MBSR, is a group program that employs mindfulness practice to alleviate suffering associated with physical, psychosomatic, and psychiatric disorders. MBSR program on the resting levels of stress hormones, physical functioning, and submaximal exercise responses. MBSR of Kabat-Zinn includes a combination of sitting meditation, yoga, and walking. MBSR primarily emphasizes yoga to cultivate awareness. Through listening, observing, eating, and smelling mindful, participants could deal with emotions peacefully and keep a friendly attitude towards themselves, respecting their own abilities without judgment or competition. Predefined outcomes were pain, fatigue, sleep quality, psychological distress, depression, anxiety, mindfulness, health-related quality of life, and workability. MBSR affects objective markers of stress, specifically the stress hormone cortisol and the pro-inflammatory cytokine interleukin-6, IL-6. Introduction: MBSR is an intensive mindfulness training to assist people with stress, anxiety, depression, and pain. It is a practical approach that trains attention, allowing people to cultivate awareness and therefore enabling them to have more choice and take wise action in their lives. Mindfulness can be understood as the non-judgmental acceptance and open-hearted investigation of present experience, including body sensations, internal mental states, thoughts, emotions, impulses, and memories, in order to reduce suffering or distress and to increase well-being. How does it work? In other words, there's a moment of choice before we react to stress and pain in life. However, for most of us, we're unaware of this space between stimulus and response because we get caught in habitual patterns of reacting to life. The 7 essential ways to practice MBSR. 1. Non-judging. Mindfulness is compassionate, open-hearted, choiceless awareness. It is cultivated by witnessing your own experience, without judgment, as the present moment unfolds. 2. Patience. Patience is the ability to bear difficulty with common self-control. It requires a connection with your core, faith, and courage. 3. Beginner's mind. When you begin to observe the present moment, the thinking mind tends to believe it knows all about what is happening or tries to control by desperately seeking more information. 4. Trust. A basic part of learning to meditate is learning to trust yourself and your feelings. You learn to trust that you can see clearly what is actually happening to you. 5. Non-striving. The bulk of human activity is spent doing and trying to change things. 6. Acceptance. The process of acceptance begins with the willingness to see things exactly as they are rather than the way that you think they should be. 7. Letting go. Letting go, or non-attachment is another key attitude of mindfulness. Much of the time, we are practicing the opposite attitude, clinging to the way we want things to be, without even knowing it. Stress. Stress is a physical expression of our fight-or-flight survival mechanism. A threatening situation will trigger a stress response, which prepares us to confront or flee a possible danger. This helps for immediate danger, but unfortunately, the stress response is also triggered by tense situations where physical activity is not an option, such as an unreasonable boss, heavy traffic, or financial problems. 2 types of stress. 1. Acute. Acute stress prepares us for fight or flight and is generally short-term. 2. Chronic. Chronic stress is long-term and is the main cause of stress-related health problems. Physical responses. Blood sugar levels rise, additional red blood cells are released to carry extra oxygen, peripheral blood vessels constrict, pulse quickens, blood pressure rises, digestion stops, the 1-minute breathing space, stop and take stock. Checking into head/heart/body. Bring yourself into the present moment by deliberately asking, acknowledge and register your experience, even if it is uncomfortable. Take a breath. Directing awareness to breathe. Tune into a state of awareness and stillness. Open and observe. Expanding awareness outward. Proceed, new possibilities. Continuing without expectation. What's rain? Recognize what is happening to allow life to be just as it is. Investigate inner experience with kindness, natural awareness, or non-identification. Mindful yoga. In practicing yoga, you are advised to practice in the same way that you do when meditating, namely maintaining moment-to-moment awareness, and not striving to get somewhere, just allowing yourself to be as you are, and letting go of any judging of yourself. Move slowly and consciously. Mindful yoga involves exploring your limits but not pushing beyond them. Instead, you play with dwelling at the boundary and breathe. Physiological effects of MBSR: yoga reduced cortisol, systolic blood pressure, heart rate variability. Yoga reduced fasting blood glucose, cholesterol, and low-density lipoprotein. Methods: a detailed and systematic review of the literature is reviewed using the PubMed and databases to discover reports from articles. Results: from the review, it is understood that the social and economic consequences of BDS are significant and mindfulness therapy may have the potential to significantly improve function, quality of life, and symptoms, prevent a social decline, and reduce societal costs. Associated with reduced evening cortisol, waking cortisol, ambulatory systolic blood pressure, resting heart rate, high-frequency heart rate variability, fasting blood glucose, cholesterol, and low-density lipoprotein. Conclusion: MBSR reduces the BDS by reducing the stress levels in the human body by its effects on the sympathetic nervous system and the hypothalamic pituitary adrenal system. With living resources. Subscribe to this channel.